She didn't even lower her voice when she said it. We were standing in my mother's kitchen, balloons taped crookedly to the wall, cake boxes stacked on the counter. My sister, Lauren, was scrolling through her phone like nothing important was happening. I asked one simple question. So, are my kids coming to Emma's birthday, or should I bring them later? Lauren looked up, annoyed. They don't really need to be there, she said. This party is for Emma. Your kids aren't important enough to rearrange things. The room went silent. My son stopped playing with his toy. My daughter looked at me, confused. I laughed softly at first, waiting for the joke. It didn't come. Lauren, I said carefully, they're her cousins. She shrugged. And? This is her big birthday. I don't want distractions. Honestly, your kids just don't matter here. My mother didn't say anything. My dad stared at the floor. And that's when I realized something painful. This wasn't a slip. This wasn't stress. This was how she'd always seen us. I took my kids' hands. Okay, I said calmly. We'll go. Lauren smirked. Good. Less chaos. As we walked out, my daughter whispered, "Did we do something wrong?" I swallowed hard. No, I said. You didn't. But as I buckled them into the car, something settled in my chest. Lauren thought she was setting boundaries. What she didn't understand was this. She'd just drawn a line she couldn't walk back from. And the consequences she laughed off that day were already on their way. The party went on without us. I know because the photos showed up online an hour later. Perfect cake. Matching outfits. Smiling faces. Lauren captioned it, family. Everything 2 hearts. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. My kids sat on the living room floor behind me, coloring quietly. Too quietly. Kids get loud when they feel safe. Silence is what they learn when they're trying not to be a problem. That night, my son asked, "Aren't we family?" I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't trust my voice. The next morning, my mom called. She didn't mean it like that, she said quickly. You know how Lauren is. I did know. That was the problem. She said my kids don't matter, I replied. And everyone let it pass. My mom sighed. It was Emma's day. Let's not make this bigger. But it was already big. Because something shifted after that. I stopped offering help. Stopped rearranging my schedule. Stopped being the flexible one. When Lauren texted a week later. Can you watch Emma Saturday? I have plans. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. Sorry. My kids have plans. They matter. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then nothing. She didn't notice the consequence yet. But she would. Because when you tell someone their children don't matter, you don't just hurt feelings. You teach them exactly how to respond. When you finally need them. 2 weeks later, Lauren showed up at my door. No text. No call. Just standing there with her car running and Emma half asleep in the back seat. I need a favor, she said, already stepping inside. I didn't move. I have a work emergency, she continued. Can you take Emma for the night? I looked past her, to my kids at the table doing homework. They looked up, unsure, remembering the last time they were told they didn't belong. I kept my voice calm. Didn't you say my kids were a distraction? I asked. She rolled her eyes. Don't start. This is different. It's not, I replied. It's exactly the same. Her tone sharpened. Are you seriously holding a grudge over a birthday party? I shook my head. I'm holding a boundary over my children. Lauren scoffed. You're being dramatic. That word again. The one people use when they don't want to take responsibility. I stepped outside so my kids wouldn't hear. I'm not available, I said. And even if I were, I won't teach my kids that they only matter when you're in trouble. Her face changed then, shock first, then anger. So you're punishing Emma now, she snapped. No, I said quietly. I'm protecting mine. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Because for the first time in our lives, I wasn't bending. She turned without another word, slammed her car door, and drove off. That night, my daughter hugged me tight and whispered, "Thank you for choosing us." And in that moment, I knew something Lauren didn't yet understand. This wasn't revenge. This was the cost of teaching someone that your kids don't count. Lauren didn't call me after that. She called everyone else. By Sunday, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Can we all just talk? You're tearing the family apart. It was just one comment. My parents scheduled a family meeting like that magically fixed things. I went only because my kids stayed home. Lauren sat there with crossed arms, already prepared. She's being petty, Lauren said to the room. She's using her kids as a weapon. I took a slow breath. You said my kids weren't important enough to attend your daughter's birthday, I replied. That wasn't a joke. That was a belief. My dad cleared his throat. Lauren, did you actually say that? Lauren waved her hand. I said they weren't important that day. Everyone's twisting it. I looked around the table. Did anyone correct her when she said it? I asked. No one answered. That silence said everything. My mom finally spoke. We just didn't want drama. I nodded. So you chose comfort over my kids' dignity. Lauren snapped. You're acting like I abused them. No, I said evenly. You taught them they're optional. Her face flushed. This is ridiculous, she said. Emma is my priority. As she should be, I replied. And my kids are mine. The room went quiet again, but this time, it wasn't awkward. It was uncomfortable. Because they were finally hearing the part they'd ignored. Lauren stood up. So what, you're cutting us off now? I shook my head. No. I'm just done pretending this didn't matter. As I walked out, my mother called after me. Can't you just let it go? I didn't turn around. Not when my kids are the price. And for the first time, I could feel it. The family balance had shifted. Lauren wasn't in control anymore. Lauren didn't speak to me for weeks after that meeting. Not a text. Not a call. At first, I thought she was punishing me. Then I realized something else was happening. Life kept moving. School pickups. Doctor appointments. Work deadlines. And suddenly, the things Lauren used to assume I'd handle, weren't handled. My mom called one afternoon, frustrated. Lauren's overwhelmed, she said. She thought you'd help with Emma's recital planning. I kept my voice neutral. She didn't ask. Well, she assumed. I paused. That's the problem. Another week passed. Lauren missed a work deadline because she couldn't find childcare. She had to cancel a weekend trip. She showed up late to an event everyone noticed. Nothing dramatic. Just small cracks. The kind that form when someone realizes support isn't automatic, it's relational. One evening, my son asked, "Are we still in trouble?" I knelt in front of him. "No," I said. "We're just not letting anyone make us feel small anymore." He nodded, like that made sense. And it did. Then, unexpectedly, Lauren texted. "Can we talk?" Not an apology. Not an explanation. Just a request. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. "We can. But I won't pretend what you said didn't matter." The reply came slower this time. "Okay." For the first time since the birthday, the power wasn't in her words. It was in mine. Because consequences don't always arrive loudly. Sometimes they arrive quietly. In the absence of the people you thought would always show up. no matter how little you valued them. We met at a cafe halfway between our houses. Neutral ground. Public. Safe. Lauren arrived late. She didn't hug me. She didn't ask about my kids. She sat down, crossed her arms, and exhaled like this conversation was already exhausting her. "I didn't mean it the way you took it," she said. There it was. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I was wrong." Just clarification. "You didn't mean to say my kids don't matter?" I asked calmly. She frowned. "I meant that Emma's birthday was about Emma. And my kids being there would somehow take that away?" I replied. She looked away. "You know what I mean." "I actually don't," I said. "Because if the roles were reversed, I would never say that about Emma. Ever." That landed. Lauren stirred her coffee aggressively. "You're acting like I'm a bad person." "I'm acting like you hurt my kids," I said. "And like you haven't owned it." She finally looked at me then. "What do you want from me?" I didn't answer right away. Because the truth wasn't simple. "I want you to understand," I said slowly, "that my kids aren't accessories in this family. They're people. And when you rank them below convenience, I'm done playing along." She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time, she seemed unsure. "I didn't think it would turn into all this," she said quietly. "I did," I replied. "Because I've been swallowing things like this my whole life." Silence sat between us. Not hostile. Not warm. Honest. When we stood to leave, Lauren said softly, "I'll try to do better." I nodded. But I didn't rush to reassure her. Because trying wasn't the consequence. Change was. And that was still ahead of us. Lauren didn't call for a while after that cafe meeting. And this time, the silence felt different. Not punishing. Not dramatic. Careful. A month passed before the next family event, my dad's birthday. Normally, Lauren would have taken over the planning, decided who came when, who sat where. This time, she texted me first. "I'm putting together Dad's birthday. I wanted to check, are the kids free that day?" I read the message twice. Not assumed. Not announced. Asked. I replied. "They are. Thank you for checking." At the party, something small but important happened. Lauren knelt down to my kids' level when we arrived. She asked about school. She saved seats for them at the table, next to Emma, not at the end. No speeches. No grand apology. Just effort. My daughter leaned over and whispered, "Aunt Lauren is being nice today." I smiled. People can learn. Later, when cake was being served, Lauren caught my eye. "I'm glad they came," she said quietly. "It feels right." I didn't respond with enthusiasm. I responded with watchfulness. Because trust doesn't come back all at once. It comes back in moments, stacked carefully over time. That night, as I tucked my kids into bed, my son said, "I like when we're not invisible." My chest tightened. "So do I told him. Lauren thought consequences would look like yelling. Like cutting ties. Like drama. She was wrong. The real consequence was this. She had to change. Or live without us. And this time, she finally understood. That my kids weren't optional. Lauren never said the words "your kids weren't important" again. Not to me. Not to anyone. But more importantly, she never acted like it again. Months passed, and the change held. Invitations came early. Plans were shared, not dictated. My kids were included without explanation, because no explanation was needed. One afternoon, Lauren called me while driving Emma home. "I heard someone at work say their sister's kids were too much trouble," she said quietly. And I realized, that used to sound normal to me. I didn't interrupt. I corrected them, she continued. I told them kids remember who makes space for them. That mattered more than any apology. Because here's the truth. I didn't need Lauren to feel guilty. I needed her to do better. And my kids? They grew taller. Louder. More confident. They stopped asking if they were in trouble for existing. They stopped shrinking at family gatherings. They learned something powerful without anyone sitting them down and explaining it. That love doesn't beg for room. It's either made welcome or it walks away. Lauren learned that boundaries aren't punishments. They're teachers. And the lesson she learned cost her comfort, but saved our relationship. Because when she said, "Your kids aren't important enough," she thought it was a comment. What it really was a test. And this time, I chose my kids. Every single time.